Okay, I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors on Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Our first order of business tonight is to go into closed meeting. Be it resolved, the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County, Virginia hereby enters into closed meeting for the purpose of discussing the following. Section 2.2-3711, 1. Discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific officers, appointees, or employees of any public body. 1. Adjustment and Appeals Board. 2. Agency on Aging. 3. Parks and Recreation Commission. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grasky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
7 ayes.
We are in closed meeting. Okay, is there a motion to come out of closed meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Chair DeMons?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, next we need to certify the closed meeting. Whereas the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery County, Virginia hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion conveying the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair DeMons?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item on our agenda is a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance led by our County Administrator, Ms. Angie Hill.
Please rise for a moment of silence and then join me as I lead us in the pledge. Let us pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. All right, tonight we have several public hearings on our agenda. The first is an ordinance to temporarily change the A3, E3, and F3 precinct polling places from Squire Student Center to Johnston Student Center on the Virginia Tech's campus, and this is for the August 4th, 2026 primary only. This is due to construction that is taking place in Squire Student Center, so they're not able to have the election in that location. Marty, is there anything else that I need to add before I open the public hearing?
No.
Okay. So we have advertised the public hearing for this subject. I did not have anybody sign up on the sheet outside to speak to this public hearing. If anybody in the audience wants to come forward, we certainly will welcome you to. I'm going to go ahead and read the guidelines for public hearing and public address. We've got them on the screens around the room as well, but this will apply to all of our public hearings this evening and the public address section. So a public address sign-up sheet was available outside the meeting room. Speakers are requested to provide their name, where in the county they reside, and phone number, and list the subject matter. Following the names on the sign-up sheet, other speakers will be allowed to come up to the podium, so you don't have to have signed up in order to be able to speak. Each speaker will have 4 minutes, whether speaking as an individual or a representative, and all comments must be directed to the chair and other supervisors from the speaker's lectern at the front of the room. Please begin by stating your name and where you reside, and debate between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Speakers may leave any written statements or comments to the supervisors with the board clerk, and speakers will be judged out of order should they engage in personal attacks, use profanity or abusive language, or debate with the audience and not address the supervisors. Accepted etiquette during public comments is to not applaud or make loud responses. So we'll open the first public hearing now. As I said, there were not any sign-ups for the public hearing regarding the polling place locations. Is anybody here to speak to this issue tonight? Seeing nobody come forward, I'm going to close the first public hearing, and we'll move to our second public hearing, which is a special use permit for a short-term tourist rental within an existing single-family dwelling at 1430 Harding Road. Welcome, Bree.
Thank you. I am going to try to downsize this here. And here we go. There's a lot up there tonight. So this is a special use permit for a short-term tourist rental, and this project is located right outside the town of Blacksburg. You can see it's indicated here by the star off of Harding Road. This is the aerial and zoning map. You can see it's outlined in yellow here. It does not have direct road frontage on Harding. It is accessed through a private access easement. This is your zoning map. You can see it's zoned R2 residential with most of the property around it. There is some business zoning here, and this is actually community business. So this would be a short-term tourist rental within an existing 3-bedroom single-family dwelling. This is the layout of the dwelling. They have indicated the exits here, so you can see that's part of their plan that we require for supplemental regulations. This is a picture of the property. The house sits here. This is a photo of the shared drive. It goes up and curves around to take you to the top of the hill. This is the entrance to the private drive, looking towards Blacksburg and then looking down towards the bud shop that is on Harding Road. Here is the survey plat of the property. You can see it does have that identified private access easement that goes through the property in front. You can see it here clearly on the aerial and wraps around, and they do have the parking area here. So the dwelling, as stated, is located off the public road. Traffic impacts are minimal. They're not expected to be any more than a single-family residence would produce. Ample parking is available. VDOT has reviewed the request. They took no exception, stated the entrance was acceptable, and this is not located in a flood hazard area. This property is served by a private well and septic. The applicant has applied for a conditional use permit through the Virginia Department of Health to allow a higher occupancy than what would be allowed on a single family 3-bedroom dwelling. That would have some limitations on it that the health department would set. So a portion of the lot is buffered by natural landscaping, and gatherings or parties will not be allowed. Pets are not permitted. Outdoor cameras will be present for security. Quiet hours are listed as 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. daily. The applicant will discuss a management plan with the adjoining property owners and encourage them to reach out at any time should there be any disruptions. Fire safety will be addressed during the zoning and building permitting process. That is also part of those supplemental regulations that we tend to have on every short-term tourist rental because it is written into the ordinance. So it's designated in an area of urban expansion. These areas are generally adjacent to the town of Blacksburg. There's a broad range of uses that could be looked at as being favorable in these areas. It does serve as a natural expansion for other uses occurring within the town. Here are some of the planning, land use, cultural resources, and economic resource goals that we pulled out of the plan, showing that the short-term tourist rental would meet those. So as stated, the proposed use does meet the regulations outlined in our zoning ordinance for supplemental short-term tourist rentals. You can see a lot of those deal with health, safety, and welfare. We have things such as property boundaries shall be clearly marked. No evidence that it is a short-term tourist rental, so it's not something you're going to be able to drive by and easily identify as that use. They have to meet all requirements of the fire prevention code. They have to post the emergency evacuation plan, which you can see the owner has already provided. And they have to post a copy of the noise ordinance. The proposed use does remain consistent with residential use with no more additional impacts. The Planning Commission discussed this at their March 11th public hearing. There were not any citizens present to speak. We may have some present this evening. The Planning Commission did recommend approval 8-0 with one person absent. And that recommendation came with the following conditions. Occupancy shall be up to 8 occupants. That is pending approval by VDH. We would require that before we issued any permits. The property shall be registered with the Commissioner of Revenue's office. Any permits must be obtained by the building department, and then those supplemental regulations shall be met per the zoning ordinance. Adjoining owners have been notified. 2 public hearing signs were placed on the property. We have not received any inquiries from any citizens, and as stated, no one was available at the Planning Commission to speak. There may be additional comments here tonight. The owner is also present if you have any questions for him. With that, I'll take any questions you have for me.
Great, thank you, Bree. Does anybody have any questions for Bree? Go right ahead.
Just one quick question. I noticed one of the requirements, it says connection to local phone line.
Yes.
Do we still use landlines so we can,
They do not have to have a connection to a local landline,
Okay.
but they do have to show us that service is available
Service
at the
available.
property,
Okay.
correct?
thank you.
That was a really great question. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, great. Thank you very much. So the sign-up sheet for this public hearing was also made available in the hallway. I understand the property owner is here. You're welcome to speak or answer any questions that any supervisors have. I don't have anybody else signed up besides you.
I don't have any
Come on.
questions or any statements, but I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. Could you just introduce yourself and say where you reside?
Yeah, I'm George Tribble. I reside in Mechanicsville, Virginia.
Oh, okay, great. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Tribble? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here this evening. Okay, would anybody else like to come forward and speak on this public hearing? Seeing no one, I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing. This is on our agenda for new business tonight, so we will be voting on this tonight, Mr. Tribble. Okay, and now we have our third public hearing this evening. This is the ordinance adopting the Montgomery Matters Comprehensive Plan for Montgomery County. Mr. Sanders, or Bree, yes, welcome.
Bree is going to start and then turn it over to Justin. Maybe. Okay. Good evening. I want to thank everyone here, the Board of Supervisors, County Administration, the Planning Commission. As you can see, this has been a long process. It started about 18 months ago. We've come a long way since then. We had many days standing out at public intercepts, talking to citizens, hearing the good, bad, the indifferent, and everything in between. We've pulled together a lot of information to get where we are, and we have made great progress. So we are nearing the end. We do want to say not only are we excited to share the document, but we're excited to report that we have progressed this project on time and have remained under budget so far. So that is very exciting. The process has given us some unique opportunities. We were allowed to share some data, and we've been able to collaborate with some other departments, such as the Park and Recreation Department for their master plan. We've given some data to the Fire and Rescue Study, so that actually wound up being very beneficial. So that has been great. But before I turn this over to Justin, I want to take a few minutes to recognize some teamwork that has occurred behind the scenes. This was truly a team effort from start to finish, and hitting our milestones and keeping things moving forward, that didn't just happen. It took a lot of coordination, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of extra caffeine along the way. There were a lot of moving parts, and so you don't just see what's in front of you. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, and without people, we couldn't have made that happen. From organizing and setting up open houses, talking to citizens, printing things out, getting the word out through press releases, creating our brand, which was actually done several months before we even started the comprehensive plan process, and all the materials. It took a lot of people. So first, I want to thank our public relations and community engagement team. We couldn't have even started the process without them. They developed our branding for us. Parks and Recreation, they attended several of our open houses and helped us talk to the citizens. They were also right there to jump in and help us tear down and get stuff packed away for the evening and set up. Same with Environmental Services. Meredith Jones come to several of our events, talked to our citizens, helped us tear down and set up, and we couldn't have done that without them. They made sure we didn't just check a box for engagement, They actually helped us connect with people, and that was very important because we did want this to be a citizen-driven plan. We also had wonderful support from our consultants, EPRC. They don't live here in Montgomery County. They are from Charlottesville, but you wouldn't know it. They were dedicated from the start. They toured the county. They got out. They spoke to our citizens. They listened to our stories. They listened to the citizen stories. And they truly treated this comprehensive plan like it was their own for their own locality. And that's exactly what we wanted in a partner, and we couldn't have gotten better service. So we're very happy. And then there's my team of super staff. This is my team that keeps things running every day. They have really stepped up. They have dedicated over 2,500 hours to the development of this plan. That is in addition to the 2,200 hours that was put into work by the consultant. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of commitment. A lot of them had to do things that were probably outside their job descriptions to help us get through, but they're the ones that do the day-to-day work. They solve the problems. They make sure things don't fall through the cracks. Here lately, they've kept me upright and on 2 feet. That's been very important, and somehow they still make it all look easy. So I also want to give a special thank you to Justin Sanders. He served as the project manager for this. He kept us organized, on schedule. He kept me on schedule with a lot of reminders, and he did all that even when I made things complicated by not being at the office as much. And you can imagine that happened quite a bit over the last 18 months, so we truly could not have done it without his leadership. I am happy that some of my staff was able to come tonight. We had some that had some other commitments, and at this time I would like to ask them to stand. They were shy, so they all went to the back of the room. But I'm very proud of this team. I'm proud of what they put forward. We could not have done it without them. They truly went above and beyond, and I thank them. I am very proud of them.
And before we clap, I would like to thank Bree because she's awesome, and she led this group of people, and the consultants did help a tremendous amount too, but without Bree there, even when she might not have been able to do exactly what she wanted to do, she was in their corner and advocating for them and their project, and I really appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At the end of the day, the plan you have before you is the result of a lot of people who genuinely care. They care about Montgomery County, and they put forth a lot of work. And I'm so proud now to turn this over to Justin so he can present to you Montgomery Matters.
All right, that's a tough act to follow, not just because she's my boss. But as Bree alluded, from the beginning, the charge that we had from the Board of Supervisors is that this comprehensive plan would be citizen-driven. And I've told you a lot about the different components of the plan over the past several work sessions that I've had with you. So tonight I just wanted to focus again just on the process and the engagement that's been done, and then talk to you about the work that is still yet to come. So I showed this graphic to you at one of our previous work sessions, but I think it bears repeating again. We, from the beginning of this process, really wanted to get in front of the citizens as often and as meaningfully as we could. So we held 2 large public open house events. We did 3 online surveys and provided paper versions of those surveys through all of our libraries so that people could participate even if they didn't have an internet connection. 25 different stakeholder meetings, which engaged over 120 stakeholders, 10 different work sessions with the Planning Commission, 11 public intercepts in that first summer and fall that we were going through the process. We were all over the county at a variety of different events, talking to citizens in person, getting their written feedback so that we can integrate that into the plan. And then 8 citizen steering committee meetings. That was something else from the beginning of the process that was really important to us, is that we assembled a very diverse group of citizens that we could use as sort of our first check and balance on the information that we were presenting, making sure that we were getting things right and making sure that we were engaging all of those constituencies that we needed to throughout the process. And when I say we talked to a lot of people, we talked to a lot of people. This is a listing of all of the stakeholders that were engaged during the Montgomery Matters process. We wanted to make sure from the very beginning that we were talking to the subject matter experts. We wanted to make sure that we were talking to the partners that are in the community doing this work. and making sure that we weren't, one, duplicating any efforts that were already existing, but also that we weren't proposing anything in the comprehensive plan that was contradictory to the work that was already happening. One of our main tenets of Montgomery Matters was partnerships and relationships, and by working with these groups early in the process, we've solidified those relationships that we can continue to build on as we begin to execute the goals of the plan. So just as a reminder of the way that the document itself is structured, at the very beginning of the process, we wanted to make sure that we had an overarching vision. And the vision statement that you have in front of you are direct quotes and language that we heard from the citizens when we asked them what made Montgomery County special to them and what they wanted to see as we went forward over the next 20 years. So the vision that guided Montgomery Matters: Montgomery County is a vibrant and resilient community where forward-thinking collaboration and innovation empower all of our residents to thrive. And throughout the process, we had 4 core matters. These were cross-cutting themes that you'll see throughout the entire plan. We wanted to make sure that the county stayed intentional. We wanted to make sure that we were accessible. We wanted to make sure that we were collaborative, and we wanted to make sure that we were resilient. So as we laid out the plan, we also wanted to make sure that the plan was user-friendly. So we've organized it in a way that we talk about the plan and the process first, so that anybody that picks up the document knows the steps that we took to get to these final recommendations. And then we broke the plan up into individual parts that covered cross-cutting themes. So we have our Outdoors and Culture Matters section, our Community Development section, and our Health and Services section. What you will see in the next few months is the completion of Part 5, which is our village plans and our small area plans. And we look forward to bringing that back to you at a later date. But the plan is organized with a series of goals and then strategies to achieve those goals, and then actions that will be made to make sure that those goals and strategies can be made reality. And we made sure that all of the actions were smart, that they were specific, that they were measurable, they were achievable, they were relevant, and then they were timely. So again, as I mentioned, we have the parts organized here. Part 1, the plan and process, again, talks about our engagement efforts, talked about how the plan came together. Part 2, our Outdoors and Culture Matters sections, talked about our environmental resources, our historic and cultural resources and historic preservation, and our recreation chapter. Part 3 includes our overall land use vision, our economic resources and development section, our housing matters, and our transportation matters chapters. And then Part 4, our health and services matters, talks about education, health and human services, public infrastructure, and public safety and welfare. And throughout the plan, we've identified 4 really big goals that we want to start with Montgomery Matters. And these are what we're calling our prime transformations. These are the steps and actions that are going to have the most meaningful input and output for Montgomery County over the next 1 to 5 years. So our zoning rewrite, and you've heard us talk a lot about this. Our zoning ordinance is from 1999. It no longer functions well. Marty has many headaches with our zoning ordinance, as do our staff. And really, the update of the zoning ordinance is going to help us start to achieve these goals, particularly as they relate to land use over the next several years. Bree already mentioned our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. This was an effort that sort of arose from our conversations about the comp plan. The same consulting firm is working with us on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And that's a shorter term document. That's going to be improvements over the next 5 to 10 years. But I will say that our residents identified the outdoors and parks and recreation as their #1 priority throughout this entire process. So getting this plan started and getting it executed is going to be very transformational. We also have identified the need for a countywide interconnected trail network. This is something that started even with our last comprehensive plan. In our village plans, we had the VITAL plan, that was the Village Connection Transportation Links plan. So the conversation about having trail networks that connect here in the county has been going on for a long time. And our citizens identified that through our village meetings as something they wanted us to continue to prioritize. Obviously, the county has made a commitment to the Valley to Valley Trail, has invested in the Huckleberry Trail. So that energy, that momentum is going to continue as we work toward that county-connected trail network. And then behind Parks and Recreation and the outdoors, the other thing that we heard the most from our citizens was how we look at growth in the county. And what's emerged from Montgomery Matters is a strategy to grow in, not out. It's us to look at density, ways that we can better utilize the lands that we have available, where we're growing, where we're investing in infrastructure, and making sure that we're not sprawling out into the farmland and into the mountain areas that our citizens love so much. And Bree did a number of acknowledgments already. I want to take a moment to recognize our Citizen Steering Committee. Again, your charge at the beginning of this process was make sure that this plan is citizen-driven. And the individuals that are listed here for our Citizen Steering Committee represent a cross-section of the county. They represent people who live in the towns and people who live in the unincorporated areas. They represent leaders in their respective fields, and they kept us honest during the process. And so I want to recognize them by name: Steve Bafuto, Emily Gibson, Andy Kassoff, Gunan Karan, Susan Miller, Beth Obenshane, Debbie Owen, Steve Simonis, Bruce Stanger, Kim Strom, Lauren Tate, and Jess Wergo. Provided an amazing amount of guidance for us throughout this process. I've very much enjoyed working with them and getting their feedback so that we can make this the best version of the plan possible. I want to thank Mr. King and Mr. Grafsky for their service as ex officio members on the steering committee. Their guidance was also very helpful to us throughout the process. And Brian Rice, who served as our Planning Commission liaison. And Bree did a great job in recognizing everyone, but again, I want to say thank you to the board. Throughout this entire process, you all were showing up to meetings, you were asking the right questions, you were making sure that staff felt supported throughout this process, so thank you all so much for your time commitment as well. And as I mentioned, we're not done yet. So part 5 of the plan is still in development. And we have a number of events that are scheduled over the next 2 months to get more feedback from the citizens as we develop those village plans. So we have our meeting in Eastern Montgomery scheduled for next Thursday, April the 2nd at Eastern Montgomery Elementary School. We'll be there from 5 to 7:30, meeting with folks from Shawsville and Elliston Lafayette. We'll be in Reiner on Thursday, April the 23rd from 5 to 7:30 at Auburn Middle School, and in Price's Fork on Thursday, May the 7th from 5 to 7:30 at Price's Fork Elementary. We'll also, over the course of the next few months, be developing our small area plans for Bethel and Merrimack. Those are the 2 growth areas that have been identified in the new comprehensive plan, and we'll be developing the future land use map to bring back to you. The reason that we're adopting parts 1 through 4 is that gives us that guiding framework so that we can make sure that the village documents are not in conflict with the main comprehensive plan. And it allows us to focus our time and effort just on the land use piece, which obviously is one of the most important pieces of the entire plan. So our goal would be for adoption of the comprehensive plan with an effective date of July 1st. And then we will be working on that future land use map, bringing that back to you hopefully in June for public hearing so that we can adopt with an effective date of July 1. And because we have that 1999 zoning ordinance and a brand new comprehensive plan, we're going to be working on a strategy for interpreting between those 2 documents until we can get a new zoning ordinance adopted, hopefully in 2027. And with that, that is all I have for you this evening. I will note that the Planning Commission recommended approval of the plan unanimously, and we had no speakers during the public hearing.
Great. Thank you so much. We've gotten to see you a lot lately.
Yes.
As you've gone through each chapter with us. So thank you for your time and dedication coming here to spend that time with us. Does anybody have any questions for Justin before we open the public hearing? That's a good thing. This
Yes,
group,
ma'am.
no questions.
All right.
Thank you. And thank you to all of the planning staff and all of the other people mentioned that helped. This truly is a Herculean effort that would not have been possible without many, many people driving it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all.
Okay, and we had a sign-up sheet in the hallway for citizens to speak to this public hearing on the ordinance to adopt Montgomery Matters Comprehensive Plan. We didn't have anybody sign up. Is there anybody in the room this evening that would like to speak to the comprehensive plan? Okay, seeing nobody coming forward, I'm going to close that public hearing, and now we'll move to public address. I do have 2 speakers that have signed up for public address this evening, and it's my understanding that each of the first 2 speakers has a presentation. So after we get through the first two speakers, then anybody in the room who didn't have the opportunity to sign up will be able to come forward at that time. So the first speaker that we have this evening is Mr. Wayman Pack. Following Mr. Pack, we'll have Miss Anna Vijayan. And Jen will help get your presentation set up. Thank you, Jen, for doing all this. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Board. My name is Wayman Pack, and I live on Piney Woods Road in Reiner. And the 2025 annual audit report states that the average county per capita income is $67,711. With this current average county per capita income, exactly how many of those earning that amount or less does this board believe have had their earnings increase by over 15% in 4 years? We're due for a new reassessment in 2027. Depending on the amount that real estate valuations have increased at that time, citizens could likely see another tax increase as a result. The 76 cents current tax rate plus 5 cents equals 81 cents. This 5 cents is a 6.58% rate increase. That's 76 cents plus another 6.58% equals 81 cents. This budget proposes a 6.58% increase in taxes and a 3% pay increase for county employees. Does this seem reasonable or fair? So every organizational chart in the proposed budget shows citizens at the top. It's time to put the needs and concerns of all citizens over the wishes of any one subset. Federal Reserve interest rate reductions cannot be totally replaced by increasing the taxes on citizens who have also seen their interest earnings decrease. Mark Magruder, Director of Management and Budget, made a presentation on projected revenue estimates for FY27. He outlined that most county revenue comes from undesignated funds, primarily real estate, personal property, and sales taxes. New revenue growth for FY27 is expected to be about $2.3 million, reflecting a local economic slowdown despite national resilience. Historically, new undesignated revenue growth is approximately $2 to $3 million per year. Mr. Magruder noted that in FY26, several shortfalls, including declines in personal property taxes, sales tax collections, and interest earnings due to lower rates, will reduce the base going into FY27, leading to only about a $1 million overall increase. Is this increase in line with the FY27 projections? FY26 revenue trends, personal property revenues are expected to be less than estimates by $800,000. Sales tax collections are projected to be $500,000 less than estimates. And interest earnings are projected to be $400,000 less than estimates because of lower rates set by the Federal Reserve. After the 2023 reassessment, the real estate tax rate was set at 70 cents per $100. If the current proposed tax rate is approved, this means that the real estate tax rate will have increased 11 cents per $100 over a 4-year span. This amounts to a 15.7% rate increase since 2023. 70 cents plus 15.7% equals 81 cents. How much is enough? When will the citizens stand up and convince you that they cannot afford any more tax increases? Or will they just give up on being able to afford the necessities of life in order to pay their taxes? Everybody thinks old people have money because they get everything for free. This is a lie. We do get some things at a reduced cost, but we are also on a reduced income. With inflation and all the property taxes and insurance, many of us are just making it. Our homes need repairs, and that is about the only retirement plan we have, selling our homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Anna Vijayan. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Anna Vijayan, and I live in District A. And today I'm presenting some data comparing increases in school and county budgets, this time separated out by expenditure classification. I first looked at expenditures on personal services, that is, salaries, wages, and benefits. I compiled information on the dollar amount budgeted for personal services in FY20 and in FY27 within, first, the general government portion of the county general fund, second, the school operating fund as proposed by the school board, and third, the school operating fund assuming maximal possible spending on personal services given the county's recommended budget. And I need to mention that for these analyses, I removed funding for fire and rescue, fire and EMS, and the utilities division from consideration. If I had included these budget areas in the FY27 county government expenditures, those numbers would be significantly higher. So the highlighted cells, the blue cells, show the percent increase in personal services expenditures per resident for the county or per student for the schools. And you can see that if the county recommended budget passes, personal services spending per resident will have increased by 53.1% in the county since FY20. But personal services spending per student will have increased by only 47.7% in the schools. And it would actually take an extra $5.2 million to bring the personal services percent increase in expenditures per student up from 47.7% to 53.1%, matching the county. I did a similar analysis for expenditures on operations and maintenance and capital outlay, things like professional services, utilities, fuel, supplies, and equipment. I suspect that most expenditures on these budget items do not depend on the number of residents or students served. So I highlighted the cells that report the raw percent increase in expenditures rather than the percent increase per resident or per student. You can see that if the county recommended budget passes, the percent increase in expenditures will be nearly identical for the county and for the schools. Now, because county population increased and school enrollment decreased since FY20, the expenditures per resident or per student do end up different. Next slide. Okay. Now, this slide combines the previous categories of personal services, operations and maintenance, and capital outlay. Now, looking at the orange highlighted cells, we see that the county recommended budget results in a 51.7% increase in expenditures per resident in these budget areas, but only a 49.1% increase in expenditures per student in these same budget areas in the schools. And remember, the county expenditures do not include expenditures on emergency services or the utilities division. It turns out that it would take an extra $2.8 million to bring the percent increase in expenditures per student up from 49.1% to 51.7%, matching the county. And my hope is that you want the schools to be able to invest in their employees and students at the same rate that you invest in your employees and residents, and that you will work to bring school funding up to levels that match county increases since FY20. I don't really have time for this slide, but there are some other factors that actually increase school needs above what I've described. Well, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, and we're going to do one more screen change, and then if anybody else in the room would like to come forward to address the board on any item, they can do so. Would anybody like, welcome, please come on up. We just ask that you give your name and where in the county you reside, and you have 4 minutes. And thank you. Yeah, you probably needed to bring that down just a little
Certainly,
bit.
yes,
It's flexible. There you go.
My name is Ruth Green. I've lived in Blacksburg for 37 years now, and I'm with the New River Valley chapter of Virginia Organizing. Virginia Organizing is committed to the struggle for better, safer lives for the low-income families who live amongst us. Everyone needs safe, healthy, and affordable housing. This is not a reality for all of our neighbors. We are here tonight to request the Board of Supervisors to set up a working group to address a current pressing need in our county. It's getting harder for working families to pay their bills. 25% of adults in the New River Valley area live in poverty, which is much higher than the state rate of 9.4%. This substantial population of local working people is a captive audience who cannot easily afford most of the housing available here and must therefore spend a large proportion of their income on rent for substandard housing that is often poorly maintained. This issue has been documented amply recently by the New River Valley chapter of Virginia Organizing. The team has canvassed many mobile home parks in the area to learn firsthand about residents' experiences. Members of the chapter have had contact with over 1,800 residents of mobile home parks in the New River Valley over the past 3 years. The residents have told the team that they're dealing with issues like mold, holes in the floor, unsafe electrical wires, going weeks without use of essential appliances like stoves, and other issues that affect their daily life and health and the well-being of their families. These are vulnerable families with little power who are struggling with the rising cost of everything, including rent. These are families with nowhere else to go, with disaster floating over their heads. These are families for whom the quote-unquote American dream is simply a mockery, a hazy mirage. One renter told the team that the entrance steps to her home were in such a dangerous condition that her elderly mother could not visit her because she couldn't navigate those steps. The necessary repairs were not made to the property because she couldn't afford to purchase the materials or labor. She reached out to 2 community organizations that ostensibly helped with repairs, but neither of them assisted her. A funding system is needed whereby monies would be made available to make the necessary repairs to bring low-income housing units, such as the ones I've been describing, up to the standard needed to provide a safe and healthy environment for our low-income working neighbors. There is a comparable program for low-income renters in the state of Pennsylvania. However, in the New River Valley, there are local home repair programs, but as far as I could tell, these are all tailored for homeowners, a very different population from the low-income renters that we have been discussing. The county needs to facilitate the funding of repairs that are needed for mobile home renters. We are requesting that the Board of Supervisors form a working group to make a plan to address the needs of our most vulnerable fellow citizens. Finally, a lobbyist at the recent 2026 General Assembly referred to the budget before that body as a moral document. I suggest that work be initiated.
We're at the end of your time. If you could just finish that sentence.
Okay, I suggest that work be initiated with the aim of producing a comparable moral document for Montgomery County. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come forward and speak? Welcome.
My name is Marcy Schnitzer, and I'm a lifelong resident of Montgomery County, specifically Blacksburg. I'm also here as a member of Virginia Organizing River Valley Chapter. I believe safe housing is a human right, but there are people in this area whose living conditions are unseen by members of the community. Many live in mobile home facilities, which is the only housing they can afford. Some own their homes, others rent. And for these latter people, their landlords do not see their living conditions. They do not see because they often don't respond to requests for repairs. They do not see because their companies are not located in this community. Here's what we've seen. Rickety stairs and porches with holes in them, visible gaps in doors where the weather can come in, dents and holes in the exterior of their homes. When we go out knocking on doors, we realize people are also unheard. They're surprised when we ask them about their repair needs. Here's what we've heard. They live with mold from leaky plumbing. Lack of adequate weatherization drives their electricity bills sky high. And just a note to say that Medicaid costs and SNAP cuts create even more pressure on affordability. People have appealed for help with accessibility issues and wait over a year before anyone contacts them. Many have come to the conclusion that help just isn't coming. They may be nervous to come here because they've gotten used to not being heard. What will make people feel heard is to participate in the design of a whole home repair program. They'll feel heard when they are able to interact with county representatives as part of a working group. A working group will bring together people of differing perspectives who may not have seen or heard each other. Through a working group, people won't be talked about, but will be part of the conversation on issues that directly affect them. That's why we urge you to establish this whole home repair working group for Montgomery County. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up and speak? And I should have asked the speaker before you, but if you could adjust the mic up just a little bit, we could hear you just fine. Thank you.
All right. Hello, I'm Megan Shepard. I live at 245 Gibson Drive in Christiansburg, Virginia. And I'm here with the New River Valley chapter of Virginia Organizing. Across Montgomery County, members of our community are living in unsafe and unaffordable housing. Our campaign started in 2019. We have since knocked on over 1,000 doors, as Ruth was highlighting, listening, gathering stories, and bringing those stories to you. A theme that emerged from resident stories were unmet repair needs, as you've heard from colleagues, such as collapsing steps, unstable floors, mold from leaks, poor insulation leading to unaffordable utility bills, homes inaccessible to people with disabilities, residents afraid to request repairs due to fear of retribution from landlords. And with recent federal cuts to Medicaid and SNAP, that's going to put more burden on residents of low income status. We've shared with you the needs, the urgency, and a path forward. We're asking for a working group where board members and community members work together to design a whole home repair program that reflects Montgomery County's commitment to the housing safety of their residents. As you previously recognized, landlords must be held accountable, to which we very much agree, and we consider that securing safe housing a multi-layer approach and pursuing accountability alone won't address those urgent repair needs that are needed now for low-income residents. The goal of the whole home repair program is to provide urgently needed repairs to keep people safely in their current housing and reduce the likelihood of homelessness. We know there are details to be sorted out with this program, which is why the working group is so important. Inaction has consequences. When month after month passes without action, it sends a message. It tells low-income residents that their struggles are invisible. It tells residents living in unsafe conditions that their safety can wait. It tells members of our community that their well-being is not worth the effort of taking the next step. We urge you to establish this working group now and show low-income Montgomery County residents that they are not invisible and their housing safety is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Hilliard. I live in Oak Forest, one of the mobile home parks here in Blacksburg, Virginia. Right now, my household is dealing with several urgent issues. After the heavy snow this past winter, we began noticing cracks forming in our ceiling along with water damage. It is something we worry about worsening over time, especially with the weather changes ahead. In addition to that, parts of our flooring have started to warp, likely due to moisture, and is becoming both a safety concern and a quality of life issue. We're also dealing with reoccurring mold in our bathroom, which we've tried to manage, but really requires proper mold-resistant treatment to ensure it doesn't keep coming back. These aren't cosmetic issues, they're issues that affect the safety and health of our living environment. At the same time, my husband and I are expecting our first child this June. As you can imagine, we are doing everything we can to prepare financially and emotionally for her arrival. Between rent, groceries, medical expenses, and basic living costs, it has been extremely difficult to save enough to cover these necessary repairs. We are doing our best, but the reality is that many families like ours are one unexpected expense away from falling behind. And when those expenses involve the safety of your home, it creates a lot of stress and uncertainty. There is also a real sense of urgency for us. We want to bring our baby home to a safe, stable environment. Right now, that goal feels out of reach without some form of assistance. I'm here today not just for myself, but for others in our community who may be facing similar issues. Families who are working hard but still need help, a helping hand to maintain safe living environment. Access to assistance funds or a repair program can make a meaningful difference. It would help ensure that our home remains safe, small issues don't turn into major hazards, and that their families can focus on stable living instead of constantly trying to catch up. Thank you again for your time, your consideration, and the work you do for this community.
Thank you. Would anybody else? Welcome.
Hi, I'm Brandy Faulkner, and I live at 607 Hampton Court in Blacksburg. And I, too, am here this evening with Virginia Organizing because things have not gotten any better. They have not gotten better for our low-income community members who really need home repairs. For more than a year, we have asked you for help. And I admit that I am still quite baffled by the lack of action. I just can't understand why there is no urgency in helping to solve the problems that our community is facing. I'm going to leave with you a copy of Virginia's Code, Section 15.2-958, which explicitly gives localities, including counties, towns, and cities, permission to establish the kind of home repair program that we are trying to move forward. There is absolutely nothing that stands in the way of your involvement except you. Will it require some of your time and your effort and your energy? Yes, indeed, it will. But our team has devoted 3 years to knocking on doors, 3 years to listening to the people, gathering evidence, hosting forums, thinking about possibilities, connecting people with resources when they need it, and helping people keep the hope. And I know that at least some of you care as much as we do about what's happening to our community members. And we are asking what we have always asked, that you, our elected representatives, join in our effort to make things better. Our team is dedicated to seeing this through. We have directly affected community members as well as community partners who are also ready to work. What we don't have is a commitment from any of you to become part of a work group that meets to figure out what kind of plan we can put in place to help our community. And so I'm here to ask you for your commitment to the people whose votes you asked for. I'm here to ask you to be willing to be part of this working group so that we can figure out how to get people the help that they need. I am willing to work for the people who need it most, and I know that some of you are as well. So you have my contact information. I would love to hear from some of you who would be willing to join this working group so that we can move forward with this community-based help. And I will provide the code that I mentioned to the clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else in the room like to come forward to address the board during public address? Okay. Do not see anybody else coming forward for public address, so we are going to move to the next section in our meeting. We do not have an addendum this evening. Next is our consent agenda. Is there a motion on our consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion about the consent agenda? All right, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. And next, we will go into work session. We have one item to discuss in our work session this evening. That's the proposed fiscal year 2027 budget, and also to hold a discussion on the proposed budget. Is there a motion to go into work session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye, sorry.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, and we have a short presentation. Welcome.
Yes, Terry Mitchell, our CFO, will be with us presenting tonight. Mark Magruder, our budget director, is ill, and he's really sorry he couldn't be here. He wanted to be here. We said, no, you can't come. So I'm sure he's probably watching from home, but Terry's going to give a few slides for you that are not new, so we don't have them to hand out tonight, but she's going to present just a little bit of information, and we'll entertain any questions you might have.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And as Ms. Hill said, we had just a couple of slides here for you. And as a reminder for the board and for any who may not have heard the various
Terry,
budget
can
presentations.
you move the mic just a little bit closer and down to you? Sorry about that.
Sorry. Better?
Much better. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
That is okay. Thank you. Again, reminding you all, and for anyone who hasn't heard the various budget presentations over the last several weeks, we're providing a couple of summary slides here on the FY27 proposed tax rates and budget. And the slide you see here before you lists the various categories of taxable property and the corresponding rates that were used in preparing the proposed budget. You'll see that the real estate tax rate of 81 cents represents a 5-cent rate increase, and this rate also applies to mobile homes. And there are no other proposed changes to the current tax rates. However, you will see the additional personal property tax category for fire and rescue volunteers that the board approved in January. And the purpose of this category is to provide an additional incentive for our volunteers, and the rates that you see here will provide an incentive of up to $752 for one vehicle per active volunteer. So those are the proposed rates. The next slide here shows you the proposed budget by fund, and this has been included in all of the county's presentations on the proposed budget, and it shows the allocation of the total budget of $285.7 million, which is a $14.9 million increase over the FY26 budget. And to recap, the next steps for approving the tax rates and budget, later you will consider resolutions on the advertised rates and the budget. And as a reminder, the advertised rates can't be increased, but they can be lowered before you approve the FY27 budget. And then on Thursday, April 9th, there will be a public hearing to get citizen input on the budget. And then finally, on your agenda will be the opportunity to establish the FY27 rates and adopt the budget at a special meeting scheduled for April 20th. And so that is what we wanted to share this evening, but I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right.
And before we have questions, I just wanted to add one item about the fire and rescue volunteer incentive. We had talked about that. The board has given feedback about that. And there was some discussion along the way about what the maximum incentive would be. So we proposed an incentive of $750. That could be lowered if the board chose to do that. It could be the tax could be eliminated entirely if that's what the board chose to do as well.
And so is it correct that the way that it's presented in the previous slide, it actually will equal $752 just because of math?
That's right, just because it's math. Yes.
Okay. All right. What kind of questions do we have about the budget or discussion items that we want to talk about tonight? Don't all volunteer at once.
I'll ask a quick one.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
I know the debt service is 24.7588 million. How much of it is the school debt? How much of it is county debt? Do you have it? I think it's 19 probably for school, 5 for county.
I think that's correct. I can tell you quickly. I think it is 19 million for the schools.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you're talking annual debt service payments? Because we have more debt out than that.
That's correct. 19.7 million for schools.
Okay, do we have any other questions or discussion items? Go right ahead, Supervisor King.
Well, we just heard from this group here, 25% adults is living in poverty in Montgomery County, compared to 9% of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We had a presentation from our finance people talking about how the economy is. Right now, people can't afford no more. I mean, they just can't. People are struggling. Wages is not going up to keep up with groceries, gas, insurance. I want to find something here, and I got it marked here, that was presented to us from our own finance department, where higher income families are spending while lower end families are not. There's a reason for that. They can't afford it. Government, commercial, and consumer debts are at peak level and could be problematic. This is showing us from our own staff. People are having to use credit cards just to make ends meet. And it's going to catch up with them. I think this year we need to set back. The last 2 years, the taxes was raised. I think we need to sit back and work for the citizens this year and do not raise taxes. They cannot afford it. Thank you.
Supervisor Kitts?
So I'm going to put this way, because I'm not big on the raising taxes portion, but I also understand that government has to provide a certain amount of services here. That being said, also, from what I've seen and what I've looked at, and I tell people I went back to school just to learn how to read a budget, because it's a complicated, I mean, this is the book right here. This is your budget. This is your county budget right here. It's big, it's heavy, it's complex. It has a lot of moving parts. And I don't like the idea of having to be at a point where we have to do that, adjust taxes or raise them or however you want to put it. But we also are responsible for providing services. And I know that we're one of the best ran counties in the Commonwealth as far as finances go. I think we all agree on that. I think it's recognized by the GFOA, which is what is it?
Government Finance Officers Association.
There you go. And we've got an award every single year. We're good on our bond rating. We're good on our rainy day fund. We are STRAC all the way across the board. And then if our staff looks at the levels to keep it at the minimum increase that they can to operate at the level we are, because to address the group out there, I agree. I think we should. But the biggest problem I have is, and as a couple of you know this, is with landlords. Not so much that. We have to fix one problem before we try to fix the other one. And I was going to put up 4 extra code enforcement officers this year. That was a big push for me, was to get 2 more added to Ms. Hopkins' department to be able to do those, because a lot of your mobile home parks are just outside the town limits into the county. So they have different housing requirements and different standards. And the towns have the departments and we don't. And because we're running tight, and I know we are, I didn't even bring it up because I know we're not in a position to be able to afford that, even though we desperately need it. I don't like having to do it, but and I think I voted for a penny in the full time I've been here, and I voted against the first one we did. But I also recognize that it is our responsibility to provide those services and to be able to fund them in a proper manner. If you look around, there's counties around us that were discussing having to cut funding for fire and EMS. There are counties around us that are raising their taxes 14 cents, 15 cents. Cost of living, and we were playing around with the stuff on the back of a napkin for schools, is me and Supervisor Grasky were talking about it. Just to stay ahead of cost of living and inflation was about 4.1, which is where we're at, and that's all we're doing. We're not actually increasing anything. We're actually just maintaining. And as bad as that sounds for a recommendation for a tax increase, it is so we can maintain services at the level we are, because if we don't, then we need to make some tough decisions and look people in the eye and tell them why they're not going to get the services that the county is required to provide. It's easy to sit here and say, we need to raise taxes for this. Well, that's real people's money. It's also easy to sit here and say, well, we need to cut back on stuff. Unless you have to look those people in the eye and tell them, we're not going to help you with this because we've had to cut services. I'll say this again and again. I don't like it because I don't like having to play around with people's budgets and their lives. But we are required to make sure that we maintain a standard of living for a lot of people, and we are required to make sure that they are taken care of. And it would be grossly irresponsible for us to have to decide to cut services at this point in time. Because I know the budget, and I've looked through it line by line, and God bless, I had an AI go through the thing too and compare it to the last 5 years to see where we could we move something, where could we adjust, what were the biggest increases. And it's not there. It's not there. I've gone through that book line by line and tried to look at it because it is such a passionate item that anytime you deal with people's budgets and their checkbooks, you're dipping into their lives and what they have the ability to do. So that's where I'm at. Got a little long-winded on that one, but I'm a little passionate about it because at the end of the day, it's our job to take care of people, period. I don't like it, but we're here. So that's all I'm going to say.
Any other comments? Okay.
Okay, I was just gonna say, every year this is challenging, and I have confidence in our staff, and I agree with Supervisor Kitts. When you go through this, every page, I've gone through the school board budget, every page, and you have to come to the point where you're making a decision for what's best for the citizens and for the services. And that's the issue this year. We're only expecting a little over $1 million in new revenue. And we're having to balance the needs that Ms. Hill has presented in this budget and the school board has presented to the best of our ability. Did everyone get in the recommendation what they thought they needed? Not what they wanted, but did they even get what they really felt they needed? Probably not, but it meets the basic needs of what we're responsible, as Supervisor Kitts said, in providing. So I, too, and you've heard me say this over and over about Virginia's taxes being regressive, but it's our only way to raise revenue to fund the services that we provide for citizens. Do we like to raise taxes? No. Do we get to points in time where we have to? Yes. So I just want the staff to know that I feel their recommendation was well thought out. And I think that, you know, I personally can go ahead and support, when we come out of work session later on in the agenda, to advertise the tax rate and the budget as they were presented. So that's the way I feel.
Great. Anybody else want to say anything? Go, sure, go right ahead.
All right, I think I will definitely ditto Supervisor Kitts' way. We are going to provide the minimum. Yeah, nobody wants the tax increase, that's for sure. But if we don't increase, obviously, we don't have revenue to support anything, and that will include, you know, our salary increases for our personnel on both sides. And that has a result of not be able to affording the inflation moving forward, put a bigger burden to the households. And if you have seen, you know, previous budget presentation, both sides' needs almost equal, identical, 8 million, and that was almost total $16 million that required 12 cents tax increase to make all the ends meet. And obviously, that is very unreasonable, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm definitely in support of the 5 cents that Ms. Hill and the team suggested. And I also suggest, I think both boards should sit moving forward and have a 5 to 10 year plan to lay out the needs, the assessments, and potential tax breaks, and have a plan so we don't have to look at a required budget that, you know, we need a 12 cents increase. Maybe if we break it, instead of keeping the tax rate same for so long or doing assessment for so infrequent, I think I believe we will be in a better place and we won't shock any of our citizens. Yeah, I think my worry will be if we don't do anything, it will be really devastating, like also Supervisor Kitts and Supervisor Biggs mentioned, that we won't be able to provide the services and nobody will have a salary increase and, you know, economy as is, inflation as is. I don't think that will be costly for the families as well.
Okay, great. Supervisor Grosky?
Yep, thank you. Yeah, I can echo a lot of the things that my colleagues have said so far, but they've done a pretty good job of saying those. So, you know, I'll just say a couple of quick things. Yeah, so that 5 cent increase, right, equates to about $6.35 million year over year. If you back out the $4.1 million, that's going to the schools. If you take out about a penny for employee salary increases, is that about right? That leaves us really only increasing the cost of running this county by about $980,000 year over year. And, you know, that penny, $1.2 million, and going to salaries to all of our staff. You know, I think about when it's cold out, when it's dark, when it's a holiday, when a water main busts, when sewers back up, you know, when things go wrong, who shows up? Our county employees, right? I think they deserve at least that increase, you know, that penny going to it. And then again, you know, if on a $100 our $285 million budget if we're only really putting another $980,000 year over year into what's going on. You know, I think we're doing a pretty good job of controlling costs and being diligent and frugal in managing the county's resources. So I'll support advertising the 5 cent increase. Like my colleague said, hate seeing that, you know, costs come at the expense of our taxpayers. But there's a reason why this county is awesome and why we have the services that we do. And I don't think any of our services are necessarily over the top, but, you know, we do a good job of it, and the folks that provide them are excellent. So I'll support that. Thanks.
Vice Chair Fitchikowski.
Yeah, I want to start out first with an apology. At the end of the last regular meeting on March the 9th, I was trying to quote something that I thought I had remembered, but I was reminded at the end of the meeting by Supervisor Grafsky that what I quoted as a monthly rate was actually a yearly rate. So I do apologize for that. But I look back and I think this will be the third year of a tax increase. And even though they may be small increments, they add up. So in the age of affordability, they're gonna hurt. And it's cumulative, and unless your salary is keeping up with our tax increases, then you're falling behind. And I think about the fact that we're going through a reassessment, and I think most people understand that the values will probably go up another 10, 12%. And if we raise taxes again next year, as it's been happening the last two, that's going to hurt even more, because that 1 penny will be worth more. So I'm not in favor of the 5 cent increase.
And I guess I'll just kind of summarize. We've heard a lot of reasons on both sides to be in favor or not in favor. I'll take away something from our recent joint meeting with the school board. We have work in front of us that needs to be done. This is always a time with quite a bit of friction between the two elected bodies every year. And I think through some planning, looking at future capital needs within the school system and future staffing needs within the school system, I think we are going to be able to get a better handle on kind of a course to chart moving forward. And I'll push back just a little bit, Vice Chair Fitchikowski, on the subject of reassessment, because reassessment and revaluation of properties is only one piece of the equation, and the other being the tax rate. So just because a reassessment is coming, and because if I had a crystal ball, I feel like it would say that we're going to see that the assessment values of real estate do go up again. It doesn't necessarily also equate to a tax increase. It's up to this board to then go back and look at what a revenue neutral rate is and determine what the tax rate will be. So sorry to steal that from you, but I don't agree. But I just think we have a lot of work going forward. I wish that we had started this budget season with a better new revenue number, so we had a better starting place. A 5 cent tax increase is a huge burden, and it's a huge burden on not just, people that own their own homes, but that does trickle down into all types of housing in our community. If the tax rate increases on an apartment community, obviously the rents are going to increase on that apartment community. And the same holds true for a mobile home community, whether or not the mobile homes are owned by the resident of that home or owned by the owner of the mobile home community. Those types of increases have a trickle-down effect effect regardless of income. And I am particularly sensitive to the effect that that has on folks that are already living in dire circumstances or living paycheck to paycheck, where the extra money truly means the difference between food, gasoline, and medicine. That is very real and very present. And so I will be tonight voting in favor of advertising the 5-cent tax increase. I know we've gotten some feedback about needing more for the schools, and unfortunately, I just can't personally envision. I have a hard enough time thinking about a 5-cent tax increase, and going any further than that, I think, is too far. So does anybody else have anything that they wanted to add in work session this evening? Yes.
You know, it's been talked about, we cut services and all this. I would like to ask the county administrator, if you don't have it now, if you could bring it to our next meeting, how much of that 5 cents is going to go towards new employees?
I can get that for you. I can't, out of the county side of the funding, I could tell you that for the school portion, it will be difficult to tell you that because we don't, as you know, they set their own priorities with the funding that we're going to pass along to them. But we'll put some things together for you that would show you what they've asked for and how many positions and salary increases.
And what that would cost?
Yes.
New employees.
New employees.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have anything? Supervisor Biggs.
I just want to emphasize something that you said, Chair DeMotts, and that is when we had our joint meeting, the idea of having the school board staff and our staff work in more of a planning kind of way with the budget, and also with us working with the school board, so that we can understand if there is a salary issue, instead of just having it come to us at one time, like, let's make a plan for it, because you can't just do everything in 1 year. So why can't we think about that and how we might go about funding? Well, that goes to the operating budget. We're pretty good about it on the capital side, but we haven't been really, I don't think, thoughtful on the operating side as much. And that's something that we could do. It might make a difference, I don't know, but at least people would be maybe invested in the process of looking. So I just wanted to add that to what you said.
Thank you. Supervisor Karan? Put your mic on, please. Sorry.
Sorry. I'm going to learn one of these days. I just want to give some numbers out there for the citizens to also advocate, not just to the Board of Supervisors or your supervisors, but on the state and federal level as well, because state pays only 600 personnel for schools out of 1,800. So it is, half of it paid by the county. So you just imagine if state covers up all the personnel needed for schools, how much money extra county will have to use for other things, or schools will have to use for other things. The other thing is the federal programs, the IDA, the Individual Differentiated Education Plan for our special needs students. When the IDA came in the 70s, supposed to cover 40%, only covers 13% maximum. So if you imagine if the federal government covers them all, how much money we will have to spend for other things. So, I think we have to be aware of advocating whether the county budget or the school budget on the other levels than just the local levels. And the other thing is the school has, of course, so many more, personnel. I think county is around 500, and the school has 18. So the 88% of the school's budget goes to the salaries versus 63% of the county budget goes to county personnel. So whatever they add there with the needs, automatically the number goes big because you're thinking salaries and benefits. So that's a huge chunk of the school budget, so I want everybody to be aware also.
Thank you. Okay, is there any more discussion on this topic? Okay, is there a motion to come out of work session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to come out of work session. Any discussion on coming out of work session? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs.
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky.
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, and we have quite a monster new business agenda this evening, so I'm going to do a 10-minute break. It is 8:40 now, and we will reconvene at 8:50. Okay, we're going to start with our new business agenda. The first item of our new business agenda this evening is to establish the advertised real estate tax and other property tax rates. And this kind of, Jenna's going to put it back on the screen, the presentation from earlier that has the various tax rates. So we have the fiscal year 26 rates and then the proposed fiscal year 27 rates. So I guess first, is there a motion at the proposed fiscal year 27 rates as shown on the screen?
To be advertised.
To be
correct?
advertised.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. And so then that would advertise the real estate tax rate at 81 cents per hundred, personal property tax at 255 per hundred, machinery and tools at 182 per hundred, mobile homes tax rate at 81 cents per hundred, aircraft tax at 123 per hundred, and then that would introduce the new fire and rescue volunteer personal property tax category, which is $0 per hundred up to $29,500 of assessed value, and over the $29,500 mark, it would be at the regular personal property tax rate. Is there any discussion?
Just one thing. I just asked all board members to think, if this tax rate goes up, is that really affordable living in Montgomery County? People are struggling.
Any other discussion before the vote?
One thing, and I apologize, I probably should have asked this during work session, but specific to the mobile homes tax, you know, how much of our budget does the mobile homes, and maybe you can't answer that right off the top of your
I
head.
can, hang on just a second.
So I'll opine while she looks the actual numbers up. In a lot of localities, mobile homes are taxed at a personal property tax rate, which would be really, really high in our community. And then also, mobile homes are often rental dwellings as opposed to being owned by the person that's living in them. There are obviously lots of cases where the person that lives in the mobile home owns their mobile home, but those are also often rented directly from the mobile home community park owner. In instances where people have their own land and their own
I was
mobile
just
home,
saying, I
that
know
would be
there's lots
totally
of kind of different arrangements where you're either renting the whole thing or you're renting the land and you own the mobile home. It tends to be a depreciating asset as opposed to a home. But I was just curious about that.
Of the it's about, I think it's $280,000, but that seems too low. But it's 0.1% of the total budget, so it's a very small percentage.
Very small percentage, okay.
And can you get us that?
I will get it.
Yeah, if you
I
can.
might be able to get it in another minute. And if Mark was here,
And we're
he
just
would
advertising
pop up like
right
a
now,
bat.
so
Yes.
I know we're not adopting anything, so
Right.
it's
Hold
okay.
on one more minute.
Well, does anybody?
Any other opines?
I've opined enough. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, well, I'll just look at Angie while she looks this up. No pressure.
Just like how many people have aircraft?
$183,000. So that 200 was close, yeah.
183.
At the advertised rate.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Does that also show how much for aircraft?
Yes.
I just wondered. I mean, we were there at a Gap, and I was like, how many aircraft do we have? Steve said he'd have to sell his Learjet now.
It's $139,000 for aircraft.
Wow.
288. I didn't have my glasses on.
288.
288. Yeah.
So there's more in property tax for aircraft than there is for mobile home.
No.
138 for aircraft, 188 for
I
personal.
thought you said 2. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, wait a minute.
I really didn't mean to put you on the spot. I apologize.
Mark has just texted. It's 180.
180.
Hello, Mark Magruder.
Thanks, Mark. It's, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Are we ready for the vote? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
No.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
No.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Chair DeMons?
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 no.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is a resolution establishing the advertised fiscal year 26-27 budget. And I'll read this resolution and then see if there's a motion. Be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Montgomery, Virginia hereby authorizes the county administrator to advertise a fiscal year 2026-2027 budget in the amount of $285,739,377.00. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on the advertised budget? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. King?
No.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
No.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Chair DeMons?
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 no, motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, so earlier this evening, we had a public hearing about some precinct polling changes. These are location changes. So we heard all 3 location changes in one public hearing, but we need to vote on them separately. So the first one is an ordinance about the temporary change for the A3 precinct polling place from Squire Student Center to Johnston Student Center for the August 4th, 2026 primary only. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Ms. Karan? Chair DeMons?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, next, same theme. This is a temporary change to the E3 precinct polling place from Squire Student Center to Johnston Student Center for the August 4th, 2026 primary only. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Chair DeMons?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, rounding out the set, we have the temporary change of the F3 precinct polling place from Squire Student Center to Johnson Student Center for the August 4th, 2026 primary only. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Chair DeMons?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, and we had another public hearing this evening on a special use permit for Mr. Tribble for his property located at 1430 Harding Road. This is to be a short-term tourist rental. Is there a motion?
So
Motion.
moved.
Yep. Second.
Okay,
I was waiting for you.
is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Chair DeMons?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, and next, our final subject of the public hearings this evening, we have an ordinance to adopt the Montgomery Matters Comprehensive Plan for Montgomery County, and I so wish I could make a motion, but I cannot. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion?
I just have one thing to say. This has got to be the most inclusive and thorough, comprehensive plan I have ever seen for this county. And when I first got on the Board of Supervisors in 1996, they had not changed the zoning since 1969, so that's why it happened in 1999. But they did the zoning before the comp plan because the zoning was a little bit out of control. And we're doing it the right way. We're doing the comp plan, then the zoning. You guys, I can't even comment on the excitement that I feel and the passion that you guys displayed in this whole process, this is, I mean, you got to turn this in for some kind of award. I mean, it is really, really good. So, thank you.
All of the awards, like every award that exists, please. And I think Supervisor Biggs is speaking on behalf of the whole board in just a huge amount of congratulations and gratitude. So, any other comments? Have we laid it on thick enough? We love you guys. Thank you. Really, really, this is awesome. All right, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Yay! Congratulations. We're so happy.
It's a close one.
Okay.
You can sleep now.
Okay, next. This will be a fun one. We've got a little bit of information coming from Marty. This is related to participation in the opioid settlement. Marty, you're up.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. This is just a settlement proposal that's involving 6, what they refer to as remnant defendants, but what they are small opioid-related claims at the national level that the board has an opportunity to participate in. It's about $97.6 million. And we will be provided an amount that's based on our ratio that they've used nationally. So it's recommended by our outside counsel that we participate, and I recommend it as well. So.
Okay.
So
Thank
moved.
you. All right. We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All of you. Good luck, Vicki. Is there any discussion on this item?
I'd just like to thank Marty for all your hard work on this, and I know it took you a lot of time, and I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Karan?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Ms. Biggs?
Aye.
Chair DeMotts?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next item is a resolution to oppose mandatory collective bargaining legislation. This is House Bill 1263 and Senate Bill 378. I'm sure you all recall that the board did choose to send a letter to our legislators on this topic, and then the Virginia Association of Counties brought this up as a resolution item. Vice Chair Fidzikowski was kind of the push behind it, so I don't know if you had anything to add before we get a motion.
Only that this legislation will raise costs for everybody if, and I'm speaking for Montgomery County, if we're going through tough times now, if this was to hit the street, it would be a little tougher because we'd have to find that money too.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Yeah.
Supervisor Kitts.
So, and I sent this all to you, but I can't support it, and for specific reasons. So I want to be clear as we state everything that I own a union business and I'm a member of the United Mine Workers of America. So, and my print business is union-based also. So, but I want to preface this and be clear that Montgomery County has historically taken very good care of its employees, and our workforce is very professional, it's dedicated, and we treat them with a lot of respect, and that's a credit to our county leadership. So when I say I support this, it is not a direct reflection upon the county or the leadership, but at the same time, supporting collective bargaining does not mean you're criticizing how employees are currently treated. It simply means that we're recognizing that employees should have the right to formally organize and negotiate if they choose to. Providing that option does not automatically create conflict. In many cases, it can strengthen communication and accountability. So I'm putting that out there. I can't support it. That's why, and I'll leave it there.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I'm going to vote in favor of it, but I want folks to know I'm not against collective bargaining as we have it now. My problem is that these two bills took away local control, and I don't support the state taking away local control.
Couldn't have said it better, so I'll just say I agree with you. Any other discussion?
And, you know, I think citizens need to know too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if this goes through, the county will not have a representative on that board.
Right.
We will have no say.
Now, I'd like to say that I do not agree with the point of the bill going through and the taking away of control. My whole thing is the ability to have that and to support that portion, but not it being forced down our throat. So,
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Mr. Kitts,
no.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, and next, this is sad, but also a celebration. We have a resolution of commendation for our sheriff, Hank Parton, whose retirement is coming at the end of March. So this is a resolution commending him for his years of service, which we, of course, will have a bit more fanfare when we actually present the resolution to him, but we've got to make sure that we want to do it first. So is there a motion to move forward with this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? We can't do anything secretly. We can't even plan a surprise. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, here we go. These are going to come quickly now. Next, we have resolution for National Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next is, I lost my place. I'm back. Next is National County Government Month, April 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Next is Distracted Driving Awareness Month for April 2026. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, next, National Library Week from April 19th through 25th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Any discussion? That was our library board liaison weighing in with the motion. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Ms. Karan, Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, next we have National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, April 12th through 18th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, next is National Therapy Animal Day, April 30th, 2026. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Just one thing. Anybody has an animal, they're all therapy animals.
I agree. I agree. Totally.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, and I think this is our last one unless I've missed one. We have National Volunteer Week, April 19th through 25th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Oh, second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski,
Aye.
Ms. Biggs,
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky,
Aye.
Ms. Karan,
Aye.
Mr. Kitts,
Aye.
Chair DeMotts.
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, we made it to the end of our new business agenda, and now the moment we've all been waiting for, our county attorney's report.
I just, Ralph wanted me to thank you for having National Animal Therapy Month this month. And so that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Ralph. County Administrator's Report.
Should I talk about my cats or not?
You can if you would
Okay.
like.
All right, Morgan and Abby, they say that too. Emily, Morgan and Emily, Abby's deceased. Morgan and Emily the cat. Poor Emily. I wasn't really prepared for that. It's not on my list. I have a few dates to remind the board about and the public that are watching at home. The first one we've talked about several times, April 9th, we'll have a public hearing on the tax rate and the budget in this room. And then we have the 3 village meetings that were brought up earlier. The April 2nd is in Eastmont, April 23rd is in Reiner, and May 7th in Price's Fork. Several of you attended some data center informational meetings with Chris and myself last week. They were very informative, and we plan to bring some information to you in the future for you to give us more direction on. That's not to say that we have data center projects in the works. It's just to inform you about what they all entail, and we learned a lot of interesting things that I think will be helpful for people to understand. I just received today the first draft of the audit of the volunteer fire and rescue financial statements through June 30th of 2025, so we'll be passing those along to the board as soon as they're finalized. There are 2 letters of support that I'm planning to send this week on behalf of the board, unless I get a no from you tonight. The first one is for funding for the New River Valley Passenger Rail Station Authority. It's federal community project funding. That funding has been applied for, and we were notified that if the entities that are members of the authority send letters of recommendation and support, that might help the funding go through, which would offset the cost for the county. I see lots of thumbs up. And the other is for Montgomery Museum, funding for a virtual trail between the current location and the historic Pepper House and Gardens. It's a grant through T-Mobile, so they've also asked for a letter of support for that. Thank you. And my final item is some of you, well, we all received emails from the weekend about Norfolk Southern and a train that was blocking access to some residents in the eastern Montgomery part of the county. Chris was able to get in contact with a representative from Norfolk Southern today, and the gentleman he spoke with explained what happened, which we all already had been made aware of. The train actually broke down, and they were making repairs. They thought the repairs were going to go quicker than they did. But we do have contacts, so I just wanted to let people know that we were able to follow up with that today, and we can make sure that when things like that happen, we can reach out to those contacts and get that situation rectified for folks so they can have access.
Great, thank you. Now we'll move on to board members' reports, and we'll start with Supervisor Grafsky.
No, actually, I've been sitting here and I don't have a report.
Okay,
tonight.
that's perfectly acceptable.
Well, thank you.
Supervisor Kitts.
Thanks.
I like calling on people when they're not paying attention.
I see that. That's why I look down. So just a little heads up, and I got this was an economic development meeting the other day, but the Christiansburg Mayor Barber was talking about how the passenger rail is running ahead of schedule, and the platform's going to be done before the station, and they're going to be able to run service from that point. So we're looking 2027 to be able to start running service, and I think that's amazing. The other thing is, and I want to thank staff and VDOT on this one, I had a family call me about Walton Road and some potholes and stuff, and they called me on Friday. I got in touch with staff on Monday. Tuesday, this got pushed forward, and by Friday, the potholes on that section of road were already worked on and fixed because they were pretty substantial, like a half a tire deep kind of substantial. But I want to say thank you for that and getting that knocked out. I just want to say I appreciate it. So thank you.
Great. You looked up. Supervisor Karan.
Showing all my attention, so you can't catch me. those two data center, I think, meetings were fascinating. I think I learned so much, and I'm looking forward to hearing more when we discuss.
Great. Supervisor King.
I don't have no report, but I would like to invite everybody to the oyster and chicken fundraiser at Reiner Fire Department. It'd be Saturday from 2 to 6. It's a drive-through. Bring your money, Murray.
I know, I think I've given you some money for that, haven't I?
Thank you. Supervisor Biggs?
Well, as you know, the fuel prices have gone up. So at the airport meeting, the Virginia Tech Montgomery Executive Airport meeting last Tuesday, that came up as a subject. Of course, our fuel prices will be raised at the airport. We're not sure how that will affect airport traffic yet. Like you sort of think, well, if you have an airplane, probably you could afford the fuel, but who knows? So we'll sort of watch that. And I also wanted to comment on the two data center educational events. I mean, it was overwhelming. I learned so much. And I think the second one during the day even had more detailed information than the first one did. So, yeah, I'm glad that was offered to all of us, yeah.
Vice Chair Fijikowski?
Yeah, I'll speak on the train issue down in Shawsville. What was the most unfortunate thing about it was that it lasted for 15 hours, and there were people trapped in their neighborhoods. And I was very glad to hear that Chris is in contact with them, and I'm hoping that out of that, maybe some protocol will kick in, and maybe the next time, or if it ever happens, you never know, that it will be responded to in a quicker fashion. Everybody that lives on the other side of the railroad tracks, as they say, expects inconveniences every once in a while, but that one really took the cake. So that's going to be a tough one for them to get over. So if anything could come out of it in the way of a protocol that would make things happen a little bit quicker, or at least open the road, that would really go far. And I'm going to go ahead and triple down on the onward presentation on data centers. Tremendous amount of information was provided, along with two members of counties that have data centers, and they shared their experiences. Unfortunately, a lot of people that hate data centers are going to lose a lot of reasons to hate them, because a lot of them were debunked. So that'll be interesting going forward. And last but not least, I won't be here with you April the 9th for that meeting, because I have a really important appointment I have to keep. So I'm sorry. That's all I got.
We will miss you, but we are also glad that you will not be here with us. Just given what your state will be. We care about you, Steve. And I, that was said with love. And I also do not have a report this evening, so I am not seeing anybody else waving at me frantically. This meeting is adjourned. Too late. I did it.